Do if you want. Does that work? Okay.
That's right. Yeah, thank you.
Can you just kind of walk us through what's going on here today?
Yeah, so about 7:22 p.m. This evening, troopers were traveling southbound about 6,000 south, I-15 southbound, at which point there was a vehicle, a silver Subaru that passed them at about 104 miles per hour. They were able to catch up and try to stop the vehicle. It very quickly turned into a pursuit. The suspect's vehicle took the I-215 south belt, headed west, and then dove off of Redwood Road, at which point our trooper terminated the pursuit just due to lights and traffic and all that kind of stuff. Just to be safe, we usually terminate when it exits the ramp. And then we were able to get a plate, so there were about 5 or 6 troopers that responded to the registration on the registered owner, which turned out to be here in Taylorsville. We walked up to try to make contact to see where the driver was, at which point there were shots fired, and we were able to grab an individual from inside the house, out of the house when shots were being fired. And retreated to our vehicles, at which point we pretty much called in the cavalry. Taylorsville PD responded, and they were an absolute huge help. We basically contained the house and waited for a SWAT team. At some point during that wait and that containment, the suspect got into the vehicle again in front of the house and tried to leave the scene, at which point he was rammed by a Taylorsville PD officer and put him kind of off into the front yard of a house, and we were able to take him out at gunpoint. The car was disabled, so we were able to take him out at gunpoint and take him into custody.
So in regards as to what happened right here at the house, when you say shots fired, was it coming from him that was shooting, or who was shooting?
So it sounds like it was a family member that we initially talked to, and then the family member went down to go get the individual or the suspect or the driver of the vehicle, and at which point there was some commotion and shots were fired. That family member ran up the stairs, so we grabbed him outside of the house because there were shots being fired, and then ran to cover, and then there were several shots fired.
At you?
At
guys?
Troopers, correct.
Okay.
Yep,
But the
at
initial
troopers.
shots were first inside the home and then outside.
Yeah, well, I can't go into too much detail there. We're not sure quite yet. I believe most of them were inside the home, but we're still investigating the scene. So it's important also to understand that the State Bureau of Investigations is investigating this. So we still have to interview suspect. We still have to interview troopers and Taylorsville PD officers to kind of get a better understanding of how that went down.
Any injuries at this point? We saw an ambulance take someone away.
So yeah, as far as the troopers go, there was nobody injured by the shots fired, which is great. I think we got pretty lucky on this one. But there was a Taylorsville PD officer that was taken to the hospital with minor injuries, and that was after the ram of the suspect to get him to stop and take him into custody.
So that wasn't in the initial kind of shots fired when the family member was taken?
No, it was not. So remember, we retreated behind our cars, set up containment, which is pretty standard protocol in those types of situations for law enforcement and police responses, and wait for the SWAT team, at which point, after again, I don't have the time frames or how long that took or anything of that nature, but at some point he got back in his car, and that's when that ram happened.
Did you find a weapon? Did you get a weapon? Retrieve a weapon?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. The State Bureau of Investigations is looking into that. I don't know what they found up to this point. Again, we still have a lot of people to interview and kind of really piece this together a little bit.
Any idea if this was a wanted man or he had a warrant for his arrest?
No, that's a good question. After the fact, after all this went down, we discovered that there was an ATL out of South Salt Lake for a vehicle driving around shooting. I don't have any idea if that was randomly in the air or at individuals. I just don't know. We found out about this after, but it appears that it was the same vehicle. We didn't know it at the time that the actual pursuit started and all of this went down, but it sounds like he was busy in other locations as well.
And that was tonight? That was just before this pursuit?
I do not know. I do not know that for sure.
So
I don't know if it was tonight or today or yesterday. I don't know.
Sorry, one suspect, several, or how many arrests?
I don't know. Right now we have one in custody, which was obviously the shooter, but we're right now we're unsure if he was the driver, if there was multiple people in the vehicle. We just don't know right now.
Do you believe he lives here?
We believe, yes, that he lives here. Yes.
And a male adult, right?
Yeah, male adult. Yes, correct.
Was he taken to the hospital?
Yes, he was taken to the hospital with minor injuries from the crash. Sounds like, again, minor injuries, but he's being checked out right now. We have 2 troopers at the hospital that will monitor and watch him until he gets released, until he can be booked in on charges.
Were there any damages to any homes or areas outside?
I don't know about the house that the shots came from. I'm just imagining that there are, but just from bullets and whatnot. But when I walked past the scene, it was basically damage to the Taylorsville PD truck and the suspect's car is all. So I didn't see any other damage.
Anything else you want to
So
share?
you don't have an age of him or anything like that?
I don't currently. No, I don't.
So their officers on leave because they're involved in a shooting.
So typically it's standard protocol on OICI's, Officer Critical Incidents, to put officers on administrative leave. We didn't do anything, right? We just walked up to the door and basically, hey, we're looking for this individual, and then all those shots were fired. So I can't speak on behalf of any of the other departments, but as far as the highway patrol goes, nobody's on administrative leave. Of course, we'll interview the troopers that were involved to kind of get their side of the story, but nothing too major.
So did any officers discharge their weapons through all this?
No, there were no shots fired from officers. Just again, the vehicle rammed to get the suspect to stop.
So again, it started on I-15 southbound, you say? How
Yep.
fast was he going?
104 miles per hour.
104 miles.
And that's when troopers caught up. Yeah.
So
And
14 earlier, I think, 104?
what? 104.
104.
Yes, 104 miles per hour.
Do you know if troopers use non-lethal methods to take him down, or?
From what I'm understanding, it was a felony stop, so that was guns drawn, calling the individual out of the vehicle and back to the car. But again, I don't have specific details on how that laid out, but from what I'm understanding, it was a felony stop.
Were there any strips or anything else used? Any spikes used?
No,
to stop the-
not that I'm aware of. Again, it was the pickup versus the passenger car that the suspect was driving. So,
Anyone else?
okay.
And again,
All right.
just
Any
to
chance
confirm,
we could
officer,
go-
you said there was a police officer injured with the...
Yeah, minor injuries. Nothing life-threatening at all. Just minor injuries from the crash.
and
Yeah.
no one from the troopers, not just...
No troopers injured.
Hey, are you free to go live? Just
Yeah,
in a
sure.
quick, why don't you just go
Yep.
walk over?
Whatever you
right
guys need.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Oh, crap.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Officer, I just need again your name and
Sorry.
last name because I didn't get that the first time around.